What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So, in this episode of Joe Winko Talk, I'm going to be discussing a very serious and kind of scary topic for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. Now, I don't want to freak anyone out, but I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of this and aware that this is going on. I'm going to be talking about the coronavirus and what I read about the coronavirus. So if you guys been watching the news lately, you probably already heard of the coronavirus. It's a new virus that people just started talking about. Well, there's a new strain of this virus, coronavirus, and this new strain originated in China. Now, I have so much to say about this, so this isn't going to be my only video about the coronavirus, but what I'm going to be discussing is a brief introduction description of the coronavirus for those of you who don't know what it is and where it came from, but also I'm going to be talking about where it's been located so far within the USA and covering how a few states are handling the news of the coronavirus. So let's begin. So to be completely honest, the coronavirus is nothing that's new at all, but apparently there's a new strain of the coronavirus that came out of the country of China, and the epicenter of where this virus originated from is in a city called Wuhan, China, a place I honestly never even heard of before. And how they believe that it originated from was from a bunch of people over in China eating bats and snakes and picking up extremely exotic and disgusting meats from a slaughterhouse in Wuhan, China, however you pronounce it. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. And for those of you who want to know more about this virus in terms of that and everything, my super awesome homegirl who doesn't even know I exist, Lovely T 2002, she did a whole video of her explaining this, and I'm going to have a link to that in the pinned comments so you guys can listen to it. It's honestly more of a podcast, really. You don't see her talking in this video at all. But she's a girl who I watch on YouTube and who I follow on Instagram a lot, too. But that's not where I originally heard of the coronavirus. I've been reading about this online for roughly like a day or so far. But it is very worrying, and I also talked about it with my adoptive parents on the phone, because they also told me about it too. But I first found out about it by reading the news on Facebook. That's how I first discovered that this new virus was out and that it was spreading everywhere. And it already has spread outside of China, including the United Kingdom, some places in Europe, Canada, the USA, and also Australia. As far as I know so far. So the name coronavirus, the part of that word, corona, that means crown. Because if you look at the coronavirus under a microscope, it kind of looks like a crown, actually. So far, as I stated earlier, the virus is showing up all over the world due to people traveling all over the world. There are more than 9,900 cases of coronavirus and a total of 213 deaths, according to a source from January 30th of year 2020. All the deaths were in the country of China. So far, I haven't read any sources of this virus killing people outside of China, but I just haven't found any yet. So let's remain hopeful that it doesn't kill anyone else, even more people in China, because I don't want that to happen at all. Another important thing that I should discuss are the symptoms of coronavirus. I actually have a chart diagram representing that right here. Let me show it to you guys. Here it is. Okay. So this is the chart showing the symptoms and how it spread, the China coronavirus, the new one. So it's spread by coughing and sneezing, and the symptoms of it are fever, chest pain, chills, rapid heartbeat, difficulty breathing, pneumonia, kidney failure, shortness of breath, coughing, sore throat, and headache. So it's basically like the flu almost. That's basically what the coronavirus from China basically kind of is. As I said earlier, I just want to say that so far, I don't want anyone to freak out over this. I just want everyone watching this video to be mindful about what's going on and to be aware about what's going on and to also look out for yourself. So unless you travel to China or been in contact with anyone who has recently traveled to China, I wouldn't be extremely paranoid about this, but I want everyone to be watchful and aware of this and to keep this in your mind and not to brush it off at all and not to let it drift so far in the back of your mind. Because when you get too careless about stuff like this, that's when really bad things happen. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that. My advice to everyone is to wash your hands. Like, you should do that anyway, but just be extra cautious. Make sure to wash your hands and do not touch your eyes unless you washed your hands first. Because that's actually how a lot of sickness and viruses are caught, from people touching their eyes. That's how people catch the cold a lot, from people touching their eyes. And I also read that the virus is able to spread even without symptoms, and that symptoms usually appear in 4 to 14 days. 14 days at most, as far as I'm aware of. That's what the sources I read online told me. But you can still spread the virus asymptomatically without symptoms, and I thought that was really scary and really creepy. I mean, the cold virus is kind of the same way. Like, if someone's like asymptomatic for the cold, they could still spread it, but this virus can actually kill you. It already has killed a lot of people so far. And I was even talking on the phone about this with my adoptive parents yesterday, and they even told me that they heard that health workers who were caring for the people sick with the coronavirus were able to catch the virus even though they were wearing masks over their face. They were able to catch it through their eyes. And when my adoptive parents told me that, I was like terrified. I was like, what the heck? Because the thing is, like, as I said earlier, that's how viruses are caught, like people touching stuff and then touching their eyes. But I'm assuming the health workers were not like touching their eyes or anything, or letting the people like breathe all over their eyes. So I'm not exactly sure how contagious, how airborne this virus is. I was assuming that how they caught it through their eyes was like the virus was floating in the air and then attached to their eyes. Because usually the cold virus doesn't usually spread that easily unless someone like coughs in your eyes or sneezes in your eyes. But I highly doubt that was going on in this case. But that's what my adoptive parents told me. I cannot confirm it, but it freaked me out when they told me that on the phone. Really. Now, as you all should know, if you guys have been watching me on YouTube long enough, but for those of you who are new to my YouTube channel and everything, I actually live in the state of Florida in the USA. And I don't mean to seem selfish or anything like that, but what I'm mostly concerned about is what's going on in the mainland USA when it comes to the coronavirus. And I've been doing research on that, trying to figure out which states have confirmed cases of the coronavirus. And so far, I found this map. This is a map of the USA showing the confirmed cases of coronavirus in the USA. This map is from January 27th of year 2020. And remember that this map can easily change. This is only a map of the confirmed cases so far. So let me show it to you guys right here. Okay, so that's a map of all the confirmed cases of coronavirus so far. Illinois, Arizona, California, and Washington State, way up out west. But that's just a map of the confirmed cases. There could be many more confirmed cases that we haven't learned of yet. That's another thing I want to make people aware of. Like, just don't think that just because you're not in any of those states that you don't have to think about this or don't have to be aware of this at all, because I think that everyone should keep this in mind, and everyone should be very mindful of this situation that's going on. So I'm going to be giving you guys an overview of what's going on as it comes to the coronavirus in a few states that I have been looking into specifically. I'm not going to be talking about every single state in the USA, but only the states that I'm spiritually connected to. Those of you guys who've been watching me on YouTube for a long time know how I am with my autism mind and the states I like and everything. But I'm also going to be discussing information about the states where the coronavirus actually has been confirmed so far. And those are actually going to be the first states that I'm going to be discussing. So let's begin. So for the state of Illinois, a woman who lives in Chicago was visiting China recently, and she caught the virus in China, and she was the first confirmed case of coronavirus. She lives in Chicago, Illinois, and also, even more frighteningly, she actually spread it to her husband. Sources online were saying that that's actually the first case of human-to-human transmission of the coronavirus within the USA. If you guys look into it, you might be able to find out. But I believe that both of those people living in Chicago, Illinois, are under quarantine right now. Either they're at a hospital being quarantined, or they're at home and not leaving at all and waiting to recover from the coronavirus. Let's just hope that they make a soon recovery and that no one else in Illinois or anywhere else catches this virus at all. But unfortunately, that's not the only confirmed case. The next confirmed case of the coronavirus is in Arizona. A man who lives in Maricopa County, Arizona, which is the same county that an extremely large city is part of, Phoenix, Arizona. He was visiting China and he caught the virus. So he is actually a confirmed case of coronavirus in the state of Arizona so far. So as I've been saying, I don't want people to worry too much, but the people who live in Arizona and Illinois, especially around those cities that I mentioned, just make sure to be very mindful of this, because remember, it can spread without symptoms, but don't freak out. Just make sure to wash your hands, don't touch your eyes, don't touch your nose or your mouth without washing your hands first, and just be very mindful of this virus. The next confirmed cases of coronavirus are 2 people infected with the coronavirus in the state of California, in Southern California, near the Los Angeles area. And then for the state of Washington in the Pacific Northwest, there is 1 case of coronavirus in the state of Washington, and 16 other people are currently being tested for coronavirus in the state of Washington. So far, I haven't found any sources online which has stated that those results came back positive or negative, or that they're confirmed or ruled out yet. So people in Washington state, make sure to stay very mindful about this virus, as people in all states should be, but people in Washington state, make sure to stay very mindful about this. Those are all the states so far of where there have been confirmed cases of coronavirus. However, there still might be more out there, and I'm going to be talking about that with the rest of the states I'm going to be discussing, the states that I'm spiritually connected to, and what's the status of whether there's unconfirmed cases or whether there's no suspecting cases of coronavirus in any of these states. And all of these states are like states that I'm spiritually connected to. I'm not going to be talking about all the states, but the ones that I'm specifically spiritually connected to. But not even all of them, so let's move on. First is the state of Mississippi. Mississippi is preparing for the coronavirus. They're preparing their hospitals and the hospital staff in case any cases of coronavirus turn up in the state of Mississippi. However, a source that I found online stated that the Mississippi airports are not screening for the coronavirus at all. And at first I was a tad bit freaked out by that, but I'm honestly not too concerned because I'm just thinking, how many planes actually fly from Mississippi to China very often? I mean, yeah, it's possible that someone could have gotten a flight from China into the USA, and then within the USA they flew to Mississippi, but I'm starting to think that that's very doubtful, really. However, like everyone else, Mississippi should still be watchful of the coronavirus and be aware of it. And everyone living in Mississippi and everyone living everywhere else should be aware of it also. I'm probably going to say that a lot during this episode of Joe Winko Talk, so get used to it. Now, for the state of Alabama. Luckily, there is no concern for the coronavirus in the state of Alabama. However, as I said earlier, they should still be mindful for it and still keep a close lookout for coronavirus in the state of Alabama, such as every single other state in the USA. But basically, Alabama, they're not at too much risk of the coronavirus. However, that could change, but as of now, and as of what I read online so far, Alabama is not at a high concern for coronavirus, but should still be mindful of it nonetheless. Moving on to the state of Georgia, I read online that they're actually investigating possible cases of coronavirus in the state of Georgia, and that honestly does not surprise me at all because Atlanta, Georgia is a major hotspot in the USA. I also remember seeing a source that stated that there might be a new strain of coronavirus in the state of Georgia. I didn't read up on it that much literally, but I wouldn't really worry about that too much at all, but I would still be very cautious. But it still doesn't surprise me that they're investigating possible cases of coronavirus in Atlanta, Georgia. There's tons of people living in that area of Atlanta, Georgia. There's people from all over the world flying into Atlanta, Georgia. It's actually a major hotspot in the USA, as I stated earlier, due to the extremely large airport they have there. And also, based on what I read online about Atlanta, Georgia, and even driving through it and seeing all that traffic everywhere, there's tons of people living in Atlanta, Georgia. So, for the citizens of that part of the USA, I recommend you be extra mindful about the coronavirus and just make sure to stay safe and follow my advice. But just remember to follow my advice. Wash your hands, don't touch your eyes, and avoid extremely close contact if they have visited China recently. And I recommend that to everyone, really. Next is the state of South Carolina. So far, there are no confirmed cases of coronavirus in the state of South Carolina, but the officials in the state of South Carolina are preparing plans for it in case it actually does happen and in case it actually does show up. I didn't look into it very much, but I did read that the state of South Carolina is staying watchful on any potential cases of coronavirus in South Carolina. However, I did not find any sources that state that there's any people suspected of having coronavirus in South Carolina. I also did not read any sources that stated that anyone's been tested for coronavirus within the state of South Carolina. However, I would still recommend, like all the other states, they be watchful and mindful and take my advice of washing hands and don't touch your eyes and stuff like that I already stated. So let's move on. For North Carolina, there actually are suspected cases of coronavirus in the state of North Carolina, but they have not been confirmed yet, and the state of North Carolina will not disclose the location of these suspected cases until they have been confirmed. So the people of North Carolina should be extra aware of the coronavirus and should definitely keep in mind to follow the steps of not becoming infected with coronavirus. Don't mean to freak anyone out, but I just want to let everyone know that that's what's going on in North Carolina, and that's what's going on in all these other states. Moving on to the state of Virginia. A source that I read online said that the state of Virginia is investigating a total of 4 possible cases of coronavirus within the state of Virginia. 2 of them in central Virginia, which I believe would be the Richmond area. That would be my best guess. I mean, it's more closer to like the eastern area of Virginia, but it is kind of the central area of Virginia, kinda. And another 2 in northern Virginia, which would most likely be around the Washington, D.C. area. None of them have been confirmed yet, but it's being investigated. So if you live in any of those parts of Virginia, be extra cautious about the coronavirus and be extra aware and take the steps so you do not get infected. Now for the state of Delaware. The health department for the state of Delaware are investigating 1 possible case of coronavirus in the state of Delaware within Kent County, Delaware. That was a source from January 29th of year 2020. I have yet to know whether that case has been confirmed. However, Delaware is a small state, so if you're in that state, just make sure to be aware, just be extra careful and extra mindful of the coronavirus. Take the steps so you don't get infected. Make sure to wash your hands, but just make sure to consider that there actually is a possible case of coronavirus within Kent County, Delaware. So everyone in the state of Delaware, make sure to stay safe. Please do. Same with all the other states out there. For the state of New Jersey, there have been no confirmed cases of coronavirus in the state of New Jersey. At first, there was 1 suspected case, but it has been ruled out that that suspected person does not have coronavirus. The government officials for the state of New Jersey are letting their citizens know that they shouldn't be too concerned about the coronavirus, but they should all still keep a watchful eye on things, and they should all still be careful and mindful and make sure not to become infected with the coronavirus at all. Now for the state of Connecticut. The state of Connecticut is actually closely monitoring cases of the coronavirus. A source that I found online actually stated that 2 college students living in the state of Connecticut are actually being tested for a possible case of coronavirus, according to a source that I read online that was dated January 27th, 2020. And another source from January 28th of 2020 stated that 1 student who traveled to China, who lives in Montville, Connecticut, which is very close to New London, Connecticut, the place where a stranger took me on a road trip to last summer, was actually in the emergency room with symptoms of coronavirus. However, they had been released and it was okay for them to return to class. It didn't state whether he had coronavirus or not, but I'm assuming and hoping that he didn't have it. I mean, geesh. But my advice is that the citizens of Connecticut should still remain very mindful and very watchful of coronavirus, should be extra mindful and cautious of coronavirus, especially since a source I read online stated that 2 students are being tested for a possible case of coronavirus, and only 1 of them has been okayed to return to class. So make sure to keep that in mind. I don't mean to freak anyone out, but I just want to make sure that you're all aware of that. Now for the state of Maine. I tried looking up if there's any cases of coronavirus in the state of Maine, but I couldn't find any confirmed or suspected cases of coronavirus within the state of Maine. However, the CDC in the state of Maine has stated that the state of Maine is preparing for it just in case a case shows up in Maine, and it is recommended that no one travels to China at all. That's what the state of Maine is recommending, which is what the whole country is recommending, and which is what everyone should be recommending until this is under control. Now, as far as things go in the state of Tennessee, the first thing I found out was that colleges and businesses are restricting travel to China exactly as they should, but a source on January 27th, 2020 has stated that a medical expert in the state of Tennessee said that the citizens of Tennessee should not be concerned about the coronavirus. However, just like the citizens of the USA, everyone should be aware that the coronavirus is out there and that it's in the USA. Also, Tennessee is not very far from Atlanta, so they should be on alert about that. Not extreme alert, but just cautious and aware and mindful so they don't catch this virus at all. The state of Kentucky is monitoring for the coronavirus. However, I have not found any sources that claimed that there are confirmed or suspected cases of coronavirus within the state of Kentucky. But as I said, they should still be aware of coronavirus. And unfortunately, a family who are actually from the state of Kentucky are stranded in China right now and have not been able to return to the USA yet. And that does not sound good. But so far, I haven't read anything online that stated that any of them have became infected with the coronavirus. But as I said, it takes a while for the symptoms of coronavirus to show up and for people to know that they are infected with the coronavirus. But for them, let's just hope for the best, and let's just hope that they're able to come back to the USA and that they're not infected with coronavirus at all. Moving on to the state of Ohio. 2 students are being investigated as possible cases of having the coronavirus in Butler County, Ohio, according to a source from January 28th of year 2020. But as far as I know, those cases have yet to be confirmed or ruled out. Ohio is a very populated state. It's one of the top 10 highest states in terms of population. So for the citizens of Ohio, I recommend that they stay extra aware of things and to look out for yourself, look out for your health, so you don't become infected with the coronavirus. As for the state of Texas, Texas is recommending citizens to keep calm and wash their hands and to be careful, which is true. You absolutely should. That's the basic advice of stuff like this. A source from January 27th, 2020 stated that there were originally 4 suspected cases of coronavirus within the state of Texas. However, all of them came back negative, which is a good sign, but I would still be watchful of coronavirus in the state of Texas either way, and make sure to literally take their advice on washing your hands and to stay hygienic so you don't contract the coronavirus. Moving on to the state of Arkansas, as far as I could find out for the state of Arkansas, there's actually been 1 suspected case of coronavirus. No sources have told me whether or not it's been confirmed yet, but a source from January 30th, 2020 has stated that 1 person in the state of Arkansas who has been suspected of having coronavirus is now in hospital isolation under quarantine. And in my opinion, that is definitely not a good sign. I recommend everyone living in the state of Arkansas to keep a very watchful eye and to be very careful, as I've been recommending for every single one of these states, but especially Arkansas due to that, to be very mindful of the coronavirus and to make sure to wash your hands. Seriously, make sure to do that. Wash your hands. Make sure you do not get infected, because it's very likely that there is a case of coronavirus in the state of Arkansas based on those circumstances. And I believe I also remember reading that that one person who's suspected of having coronavirus actually had traveled to China recently. So be very aware of that for the citizens of Arkansas. Moving on to Oklahoma. So at first when I looked up coronavirus in the state of Oklahoma, it told me that there was one person being quarantined for a possible case of coronavirus somewhere around Tulsa, Oklahoma. However, the source was updated on January 31st, 2020, and it claimed that they now don't require that person to be quarantined. Another source from January 31st, 2020 has stated that two people who are suspected of having the coronavirus in the state of Oklahoma have been ruled out and tested negative for the coronavirus. That's a good sign, really, but I still recommend the people of Oklahoma to be extra aware of the coronavirus within the state of Oklahoma. Now for the state of Minnesota. Not really a state that I'm spiritually connected to, but I read that the coronavirus might have been there. However, a source from January 27th of year 2020 stated that there were originally 2 suspected cases of coronavirus in the state of Minnesota. Luckily, those cases have been ruled out, and I haven't found any other sources that claimed that there are more confirmed or unconfirmed cases of coronavirus within the state of Minnesota. But as I've been continually stating, be on the lookout and stay aware of this virus, as everyone else should. Moving on to the state of Wisconsin, which is right north of Chicago, Illinois. A total of 7 people have been tested for the coronavirus within the state of Wisconsin. None of them have been confirmed or ruled out yet as of January 30th of 2020. However, other sources have claimed that the state of Wisconsin is preparing to contain the coronavirus if it ends up showing in the state at all. So I recommend the citizens of Wisconsin to be extra aware of the coronavirus. Make sure to wash your hands, as I've been stating so many times throughout this video, and to be extra aware of symptoms or anything like that if you've been in contact with someone who has traveled to China, or especially if you yourself have traveled to China. However, I didn't really research that much for the state of Wisconsin. I didn't read anywhere that the 7 people who've been tested for coronavirus in the state of Wisconsin have been to China at all. They could have been, but I'm not exactly sure. But either way, I recommend the citizens of Wisconsin to be mindful and aware of the virus and to make sure to wash your hands. Do not touch your eyes, do not touch your nose or your mouth or anything until your hands have been washed, and just make sure to be aware of that. That's my advice for the state of Wisconsin, a state I used to live in, and a state that I'm not spiritually connected to at all, but I had to mention it in this video nonetheless, so yeah. And last, but definitely not least, my home state, the state of Florida. Now, in all honesty, when I first heard of the coronavirus, I was like really freaked out because I was thinking that Florida would be the first place it would show up at because there's so many people in Florida. It's the 3rd most populated state in the USA. people from all over the world come to Florida, fly into Florida and everything. However, sources from January 28th of year 2020 have stated that there are no confirmed cases of coronavirus within the state of Florida. And another source claimed that there was originally a suspected case of coronavirus at a high school in South Florida, but a source from January 30th of 2020 has confirmed that apparently that suspected case of coronavirus in South Florida has been ruled out as negative, and that those students and teachers at that high school were allowed to return. I didn't really read much about that suspected case of coronavirus. I was basically just skimming through these articles and everything. But if you look that up online, you should be able to find out more information about it. And if I didn't mention your state in this video, you should be able to find more information about it online. So far, it appears that we're in the early stages of this pandemic, or whatever you want to call it. But still, it's serious, and everyone should be mindful of this. Just because nothing's going on in your state, that doesn't mean things are going to stay that way. So just make sure to keep a watchful eye out on stuff like this. I'm going to be doing some more episodes of Joe Winko Talk about the coronavirus. Not a whole lot, but there's so much more stuff I could say about it, but I didn't want this video to be too long at all. The last thing I'm going to mention is this girl. I saw her post on Reddit. I didn't message her or anything. I mean, a lot of people were commenting on her post, and pretty sure a lot of people are commenting her. But this girl on Reddit, she lives in China, and she's doing a video blog on what's going on in China in terms of the coronavirus. And I'll have the link to her video blog in the pinned comments of this video, so you guys can look it up and see what she's up to and see what's going on and see how things are over there. I don't believe she lives in Wuhan, China. I'm not exactly sure. I need to double check on that. But she does live in China, where this strain of the coronavirus originated from, and where all the deaths from coronavirus have been at so far. Let's hope that they quickly figure out a treatment for coronavirus, that everyone who's sick with it recovers, that all the possible cases of coronavirus are ruled out to be negative, and let's hope for a vaccine also, because that's another thing I've been reading about online, that the British are currently looking into developing a vaccine for this strain of the coronavirus, and they said that it might be out by the summer. But let's hope that they get it out sooner. I sincerely hope that they do. Meanwhile, everyone make sure to stay aware of this and make sure to stay safe. And just keep this in mind. Don't get overly paranoid, because that's not going to do any good. But don't get too careless about it either, because that's how bad stuff happens. So that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. Please let me know what you thought of this episode of Joe Winko Talk, what you thought of what's going on, because a major point of all my videos is to get a conversation started with you guys. So please make sure to share your thoughts in the comments about all this, and let's get a conversation started. And please remember to stay safe. Make sure to wash your hands, as I continuously been stating. Make sure to carry hand sanitizer with you, and just make sure to be careful out there. And do not get sick with the coronavirus. So that's basically it for this episode of Joe Winko Talk. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's it. Peace out, people.